All right, so we're diving into this book. You've given me Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life. Seems like you're really interested in living longer and happier, and this whole concept of Ikigai has really caught your attention.
It has. It really has. And I think it's so fascinating how important this idea of Ikigai is in Japanese culture.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not just a word, it's this whole way of life, you know?
Right.
Imagine like waking up every morning and having this clear sense of purpose,
Yeah.
a reason to like actually be here. That's Ikigai.
So it's like having that internal drive, that spark that keeps you going.
Exactly. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to be like tied to your career or anything.
Right.
Obviously, like work can be a part of it. But Ikigai can be found in literally anything that brings you joy and fulfillment. Hobbies, relationships, creative pursuits, anything that gives your life meaning, you know?
That makes a lot of sense. I'm starting to see how this all connects to longevity.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about life,
Yeah.
you're probably more inclined to want to stick around for a while. Right?
Yeah, totally. And the book uses this really great example, the centenarians in Okinawa.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Japanese island that's actually famous for how long people live there. And a lot of them say that their long lives are thanks to having a really strong ikigai.
Really?
It's not just about existing, it's about thriving.
That's so interesting. So the book isn't just focused on Japan, though, right?
Right.
It talks about these blue zones all over the world where it seems like people have figured out how to live longer.
You got it. The blue zones are like treasure chests of information about how the world's longest living people live.
Right.
And researchers have found 9 key principles that seem to be connected to their long lives.
The Power 9.
Yeah, exactly. The Power 9.
Okay, so spill the beans. What are they?
Well, first off, they're all about moving naturally.
Okay.
So like walking, gardening, staying active throughout the day. It's more about moving in your everyday life than doing like structured exercise.
So like less gym, more just moving around in general.
Exactly. And of course, like we were talking about, a strong sense of purpose, that Ikigai is a key part of it too.
Yeah.
And then there's this idea of downshifting.
Yeah, okay.
Figuring out how to manage stress and make time to relax.
I think that's something we could all use a little more of these days.
Totally. They also practice something called the 80% rule.
80% rule.
Yeah, it basically means not overeating and stopping when you feel comfortably full.
Makes sense.
And then their diet's mostly plant-based, you know, lots of veggies, fruits, whole grains.
So it's about making good choices but not being too strict.
Exactly. They also drink wine in moderation.
Oh, interesting.
And community is super important too.
Okay.
They put their loved ones first and surround themselves with a good group of people who support healthy habits, what they call their right tribe.
Their right tribe. That's such an interesting concept.
It is, right?
It's like who you hang out with can actually affect how long you live.
It's incredibly powerful. The book suggests that being around people who make healthy choices makes it easier to adopt those habits yourself.
It's like having a built-in support system.
Exactly.
I like it. So it's not about drastic changes, just consistent, healthy choices over time.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. So the book digs into the science behind aging as well, right?
Absolutely. And that's where things get really cool. The book talks about this idea called aging's escape velocity.
Aging's escape velocity.
Yeah, it's this idea that one day we might be able to slow down or even reverse aging with technology.
Oh, that's pretty mind-blowing.
I know, right? But until we get there,
Right.
what can we do to keep feeling young, both mentally and physically?
That's the big question, isn't it?
The book really emphasizes how important it is to manage stress.
Okay.
Chronic stress is bad for our minds and bodies, and it can contribute to aging more quickly.
So all that stress is literally making us age faster.
It is. So the book talks about things like mindfulness and meditation, which are really important to work into your daily life.
So finding ways to just chill out and quiet the mind.
Exactly. And physically, in addition to diet and exercise, sleep is huge.
Yeah.
The book talks about how important melatonin is.
Melatonin.
It's this hormone that we make while we sleep, and it's a powerful antioxidant.
Okay.
It helps protect our cells from damage.
Wait, so that's why they say sleep is good for your skin.
Yeah,
Not just to prevent dark circles, but to keep it looking young.
exactly. It's because of the melatonin. And there's more. The book talks about this fascinating concept called flow.
Flow.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten so absorbed in something that you lose track of time?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
It's like that feeling when you're working on a project you love or reading a really good book and you just completely lose yourself in it. That's flow, and the book says that experiencing flow regularly makes for a more fulfilling life and might even help you live longer.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Is there a secret to achieving this flow state?
Well, the book lays out 7 conditions that can help you get there. First, you need to have a clear goal or task in mind,
Okay.
like knowing what you're actually trying to do.
Makes sense.
Then you need the skills and knowledge to actually do it.
Right. You got to have the right tools for the job.
Exactly. You also need a way to measure your progress and get feedback so you know how you're doing.
Okay, so it's about having a direction and tracking your progress.
Right. And the task should be challenging enough to keep you engaged, but not so hard that you feel overwhelmed.
So finding that sweet spot.
Exactly. And maybe most importantly, you need to minimize distractions.
Okay, no multitasking.
Multitasking is the enemy of flow.
Uh-huh, got it.
You never fully engage if you're constantly switching between tasks.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Is that where this idea of microflow comes in?
Yes.
What's microflow all about?
It's about finding flow in everyday things that might seem boring at first.
Okay.
The book gives the example of Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, he actually finds washing dishes relaxing and meditative.
Really?
He's made it into a ritual. He focuses on each step and tries to do it a little better every time.
Wow, Bill Gates and doing the dishes mindfully, who knew?
Right, so it's all about finding moments of focus and engagement, even in simple tasks.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So the book dives into how this concept is like a big deal in Japan, right?
Yes.
It talks about these takumis.
Exactly, the takumis.
What are they all about?
Think of those incredible artisans, the master swordsmiths, the potters, the chefs.
Mm-hmm.
They dedicate their lives to mastering a skill, reaching this amazing level of expertise.
Like those captivating scenes you see in documentaries.
Yes.
Where they're meticulously crafting something with incredible focus and precision.
Yeah, they embody the principles of flow in their work.
Wow. And the book tells this story about a takumi named Yukio Shakunaga.
Yes, he was a master porcelain maker.
Okay.
And get this, Steve Jobs was a huge fan of his work.
Steve Jobs, the tech guy.
Yep. Jobs was all about simple and elegant design, and that's what he saw in Shakunaga's porcelain.
Interesting.
He was so impressed that he bought a ton of pieces and even thought about going to Japan to visit Shakunaga's workshop.
Wow. So it's about finding something you're passionate about and dedicating yourself to it,
Yeah.
even if it seems small or traditional. I feel like it really highlights the difference between Western culture's focus on efficiency and speed versus this Japanese appreciation for slow and deliberate work that leads to mastery.
You nailed it.
Okay, so I'm really seeing how Ikigai, flow, and longevity are all connected.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're forgetting something important. Stress. We all know stress is a big factor in aging. How does the book address that?
Great point. The book has a whole chapter on stress, resilience, and this Japanese idea of wabi-sabi.
Okay, let's hear it.
Oh.
I'm ready to learn how to de-stress from the masters of longevity.
The first thing to understand is how damaging chronic stress really is.
Okay.
It doesn't just make us feel bad, it actually speeds up the aging process.
I don't know.
The book says chronic stress can damage our cells and weaken the immune system.
Yikes. So it's like fast-forwarding the clock on our bodies.
It is. So what can we do about it? The book suggests things like mindfulness meditation and even the Stoic concept of negative visualization.
Negative visualization. That sounds kind of counterintuitive.
I know, right? But it's not about dwelling on negative thoughts.
Okay.
It's about mentally preparing yourself for setbacks.
Interesting.
You imagine the worst case scenario, accept it, and then figure out how you'd move forward.
So you take away stress's power by facing it head on.
Exactly. The book also brings up these 2 really powerful Japanese concepts, wabi-sabi and ichigo-ichi.
Wabi-sabi and ichigo-ichi.
I'm not familiar with those.
So wabi-sabi is all about finding beauty in imperfection.
Okay.
It encourages us to appreciate things as they are, even with their flaws.
That's a nice thought, especially in a world that's so obsessed with perfection.
Totally. And ichigo-ichi means one time, one meeting. It reminds us to cherish every moment because it's unique and will never happen again.
I love these ideas. So insightful.
Yeah.
Before we finish up this part of our deep dive, there's one more thing I'm curious about, anti-fragility.
Ah, yes. Anti-fragility, it's a step beyond resilience.
Okay.
It's not just about bouncing back from setbacks, but actually getting stronger because of them. Now, that's something I can get behind. Turning challenges into opportunities for growth. Tell me more.
The book uses this great analogy of the Hydra.
The Hydra.
Yeah, you know, that mythical creature that grows 2 heads for every one you cut off?
Right.
Anti-fragile systems are kind of like that. They thrive on challenges.
Okay, I get it. So how do we become more anti-fragile in our own lives? It seems like we're always told to avoid risks.
That's where the book challenges conventional wisdom. It says that taking calculated risks and embracing uncertainty can make us stronger.
So pushing our boundaries and trying new things.
Exactly. But in a smart way, not recklessly.
Makes sense. Could you give an example?
Sure, imagine investing in 10 different startup companies.
Okay, high stakes.
Most startups fail, but a few could become wildly successful.
So you're spreading the risk and increasing the potential for a big win.
Precisely. Even if some fail, the success of one could make up for all the losses.
I see what you mean. How can we apply this idea to other areas of life?
Think about areas where taking a calculated risk could be beneficial. Maybe it's learning a new skill, taking on a tough project at work, or even having a conversation you've been avoiding.
So basically stepping outside our comfort zones, but strategically.
Exactly. It's about embracing the unknown and seeing setbacks as chances to learn and grow.
That's a powerful mindset shift. So it sounds like this anti-fragile mindset can lead to a longer, happier life.
It can, because we're constantly adapting and evolving, becoming more resilient when we face challenges.
Wow, so much to think about. But for now, let's bring it back to the present moment and this idea of Ikigai.
Yeah,
It seems like finding our Ikigai is a big part of this whole longevity puzzle.
it really ties everything together.
Yeah.
Having a purpose fuels our passion, motivates us to stay active, and helps us face challenges.
It's a powerful force, so it's like unlocking the secret to a long and happy life.
I think so. And the book shares some really inspiring real-life examples of Ikigai from people all over the world.
Oh, cool. Tell me about them.
There are stories of people who have lived to be over 100 years old, many of whom have been through wars, economic hardships, and personal tragedies.
So they haven't lived sheltered lives at all.
Not at all. They've faced life's challenges head-on with purpose and resilience.
What else do their stories have in common?
A lot of them have a really positive attitude.
Okay.
They stay optimistic and even have a sense of humor when things get tough.
So it's about choosing to see the glass half full.
Exactly. And they prioritize their relationships with family and friends.
It's like those blue zone principles all over again.
It is. The book even highlights the story of Jeanne Calment.
Who's that?
She was a French woman who lived to be 122 years old.
122. That's amazing. What was her secret?
She embraced life to the fullest. She rode her bike until she was 100,
Wow.
lived on her own until 110, and even enjoyed a glass of wine and some chocolate regularly.
I like her style. So it's not about depriving yourself. It's about enjoying those simple pleasures in moderation.
Exactly. Oh, and she also quit smoking at 120.
Better late than never.
Right, right. But her story really shows how important a positive attitude and a zest for life are.
Definitely. The book also tells the story of Walter Bruning,
Yes.
who lived to be 114.
He was a remarkable man.
Mm-hmm.
He believed that staying active and engaged both mentally and physically was key to a long life.
Okay.
He said it was important to help others and to accept the natural cycle of life, including death.
He sounds like he was very at peace with life and aging.
He was, and the book shares insights from so many other people who've lived long and fulfilling lives.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Something that's really stuck with me from our conversation is how much the book emphasizes staying curious and engaged with life, no matter how old we are.
That's one of the big takeaways. The book even quotes this author, T.H. White.
Okay.
He wrote, "There is only one thing for it then, to learn. Learn why the world wags and what wags it. That is the only thing which the mind can never exhaust, never alienate, never be tortured by, never fear or distrust, and never dream of regretting."
Wow, that's a powerful message.
It's like a reminder to never stop learning and exploring.
Exactly. And the book gives examples of people who embraced their passions and made a real difference in the world even later in life.
Okay.
Like Carmen Herrera.
Who's that?
She was a painter who didn't sell her first canvas until she was 89.
Really?
And now her work is displayed in some of the biggest museums.
Wow. It's never too late to follow your dreams.
Never.
Mm.
And the architect Frank Gehry, he designed the iconic Guggenheim Museum Bilbao.
Oh, yeah. I love that building.
He's a great example of someone who stays curious and present.
Okay.
He said, "You stay in your time. You don't go backward. I think if you relate to the time you're in, you keep your eyes and ears open, read the paper, see what's going on, stay curious about everything, you will automatically be in your time."
That's like a recipe for staying young and vibrant no matter how old you are.
I think so.
Yeah.
Speaking of staying in our time, I'm curious to learn more about the cultural aspects of longevity,
Yeah, me too.
especially in those blue zones.
The book seems to suggest that there's something special about the way these communities live that contributes to their long lifespans.
Okay, so where should we go first on our virtual blue zone tour?
Let's start in Okinawa, Japan, in a village called Ogimi.
Ogimi, okay.
It's known as the Village of Longevity.
That sounds promising.
It does, right. It has an incredibly high number of centenarians,
Wow.
even higher than the rest of Okinawa.
Really?
And the book explores the unique cultural practices and beliefs that might be contributing to this.
Like a real-life Blue Zone lab.
Exactly. It talks about their strong sense of community,
Okay.
their traditional diet and lifestyle, and even some spiritual beliefs that might play a role.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this village.
So one of the key social structures in Ogimi is the concept of moai.
Moai.
Yeah, they're basically social support groups that people form early in life and stay in throughout their lives.
So like a lifelong network of friends and neighbors who always have your back.
Exactly. These moai provide a sense of belonging, purpose, and support, which are all so important for longevity.
It's like a built-in social safety net that promotes well-being.
Yeah.
And they have that traditional Okinawan diet too, right?
Yes. Lots of vegetables, fruits, and lean protein, very similar to what we see in other blue zones.
Right, so no fast food or processed snacks in Ogimi.
Not so much. They also practice mindful eating, often stopping when they're 80% full.
Another Blue Zone principle in action.
It is. And then there are these really interesting spiritual beliefs.
Oh yeah, tell me about those.
They believe in this idea of mabui, which is kind of like a person's life force or essence.
Okay.
It's a bit more than just a spiritual energy that connects everyone, though.
Okay, what else is there to it?
They believe that mabui can be passed down through generations,
Wow.
transferred through objects, and even trapped in the bodies of the living after death.
That's pretty deep. But I can see how these beliefs would give them a sense of continuity and connection to something bigger than themselves.
Exactly. And the book suggests that this sense of spiritual connection might be part of what makes them live so long.
So fascinating. Did the authors get a chance to talk to any of the villagers themselves?
They did.
What did they have to say?
One villager shared his secret to staying sharp as you get older.
Oh, was it?
He said, "It's in your fingers, from your fingers to your brain and back again. If you keep your fingers busy, you'll live to see 100.
I like that. Keep your mind and body active.
Another villager gets up at 4 every morning.
Wow.
And she really emphasized the importance of routine and exercise.
Okay.
She said, "I set my alarm for that time, have a cup of coffee, and do a little exercise, lifting my arms. That gives me energy for the rest of the day."
So finding those little rituals that work for you and sticking to them.
Consistency is key.
Yeah.
And someone else talked about how important a balanced diet is.
Okay, what do they say?
I eat a bit of everything. I think that's the secret. I like variety in what I eat. I think it tastes better.
I agree, a balanced approach to food is the best way to go.
Right. And another villager had a very simple philosophy.
Let's hear it.
Working. If you don't work, your body breaks down.
There's that emphasis on staying active again.
Yep. One person emphasized the importance of honoring their ancestors.
Okay, how do they do that?
When I wake up, I go to the Butsudan and light incense. You have to keep your ancestors in mind. It's the first thing I do every morning.
Wow. There's a real sense of respect for tradition and family history there.
Absolutely. Those are just a few of the insights the villagers shared.
It's amazing to get a glimpse into their way of life, where longevity is so deeply ingrained.
It is. And you know, another big theme that emerged from these conversations was optimism.
Optimism.
Yeah, a positive outlook seems to be a crucial ingredient in the longevity recipe.
The book gives some tips for cultivating that optimistic mindset too, right?
It does. One villager had this daily affirmation.
What was it?
Every day I say to myself, today will be full of health and energy. Live it to the fullest.
I love that. Starting each day with a positive intention.
And another villager at the age of 98 said,
98. Wow.
I'm 98, but consider myself young. I still have so much to do.
That's the spirit. So it's about embracing life with enthusiasm and purpose no matter your age.
Exactly. The book also dives into some of the specific foods that people in the blue zones eat.
Are there any magic foods we should know about?
Well, it's not really about finding one magic food or anything.
Right.
But the book does highlight some important things about how people in the blue zones eat.
Okay.
One of the key ideas is calorie restriction.
Okay, calorie restriction.
It's been shown to have anti-aging effects.
So it's not just about what we eat, but how much.
Exactly. The book explains that when we eat too much, our bodies get kind of sluggish, and they have to use more energy for digestion, which could speed up aging.
So portion control is key.
It is. It's about listening to your body and knowing when you're actually hungry.
Makes sense. So the book isn't saying we should all starve ourselves.
No, not at all. It's all about balance. The book also emphasizes the importance of antioxidants.
Okay, antioxidant.
They help protect our cells from damage.
Yeah, I know antioxidants are good for us, but remind me what foods have a lot of them.
Like the Okinawan diet, it's got lots of antioxidant-rich foods.
Okay, like what?
Sweet potatoes, seaweed, and turmeric.
Interesting. So it's better to get those nutrients from whole foods instead of just taking supplements.
Definitely. And speaking of Okinawa, have you ever heard of sanpincha?
Sanpincha? I don't think so.
It's the special kind of tea they drink there.
Okay.
It's a blend of green tea and jasmine, and it's loaded with antioxidants.
Sounds good.
The jasmine is supposed to be calming and help with stress, too.
Oh, wow. So it's like a delicious stress reliever.
Pretty much. What about you? Do you drink much tea?
Not really, but I'm definitely going to try and find some of this sanpincha.
I hope you can find it. If not, green tea and white tea are also good sources of antioxidants.
Good to know. So tea's on the menu. What other foods does the book recommend?
It talks about oily fish like salmon and mackerel.
Okay.
They're full of omega-3 fatty acids, which are great for your heart and brain.
Brain food and heart food all in one.
Exactly. And of course, you can't go wrong with fruits and vegetables.
Right. Especially those with vitamin C.
Yeah, citrus fruits, berries, those are all great choices.
Okay. I could definitely add more of those to my diet. What about wine?
Ah, the wine question.
Right. I've heard so many different things about whether it's good or bad for you.
Well, the book does include moderate wine consumption as one of the Blue Zone principles.
Okay. Moderate being the key word.
Exactly. It's not about drinking a whole bottle every night.
Right. More like enjoying a glass or two with dinner.
Yeah. And red wine in particular has these antioxidants like resveratrol,
Okay.
which might be good for your health.
So a glass of red wine every now and then is good for longevity. I like the sound of that.
In moderation. Anything else you're wondering about?
Well, we've talked about healthy fats, antioxidants, moderate wine. What else is important?
Don't forget about staying hydrated. The book really emphasizes drinking enough water.
Right. Water's so important.
It is. It's easy to forget to drink enough when you're busy.
Oh, yeah. Totally guilty of that.
Yeah.
I'll look up from my computer and realize I haven't had water in hours.
I know, right? The book suggests keeping a water bottle with you or even setting reminders on your phone.
Those are good tips. So we've covered a lot about diet. What about exercise?
Yes. The book talks a lot about moving naturally.
Moving naturally.
It's about making movement a part of your everyday life. Not just seeing exercise as something you have to check off a to-do list.
Right. So less gym time, more just being active throughout the day.
Exactly. The book says we should walk more, take the stairs instead of the elevator, just find little ways to move our bodies.
I like it. It's like making movement a habit.
And it also talks about how bad it is to sit for too long.
Oh, yeah. Sitting is the new smoking.
They even suggest standing up and moving around for a few minutes every half hour.
Okay. I need to do that more often. I sit at my desk for way too long.
Little changes can make a big difference. But the book also talks about specific types of exercise that are good for longevity.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
It draws a lot of inspiration from ancient Eastern traditions like yoga, tai chi, and qigong.
I've heard of those, but I'm not really sure what the differences are.
So yoga originated in India, and it combines physical postures, breathing techniques, and meditation.
Okay.
It's good for flexibility, strength, and mental clarity.
So it's like a mind-body workout.
Exactly. Then there's Tai Chi, which is from China.
Okay.
It involves slow-flowing movements and deep breathing.
I've always wanted to try Tai Chi. It looks so graceful.
It's very calming. And then there's qigong, also from China. It focuses on coordinating breath movement and awareness to cultivate and balance energy in the body.
So they all involve mindful movement and breath work.
They do. They each have their own unique benefits, but they all promote longevity.
Interesting. The book also mentions shiatsu. What's that?
Shiatsu is a form of Japanese bodywork.
Okay.
It involves applying pressure to certain points on the body to promote healing and relaxation.
So it's like acupuncture, but with pressure instead of needles.
Exactly. It can help relieve stress, improve circulation, and just make you feel better overall.
Sounds amazing. I'm adding shiatsu to my list of things to try.
I think you'd really like it. And before we move on from movement, we can't forget about breathing.
Right. We were just talking about that with those Eastern practices.
Exactly. Breathing isn't just something we do automatically. It's a powerful tool for longevity. The book talks about this ancient Taoist practice called Taoyin.
Taoyin, what's that?
It focuses on stretching and deep breathing exercises to improve flexibility, strength, and vitality.
So it's like another mind-body practice.
It is. One of the main ideas in Taoyin is that the breath connects the body and mind.
That makes sense. When we focus on our breath, we're bringing our awareness to the present moment and calming the mind.
Exactly. And deep breathing has so many benefits for longevity.
Like what?
It can reduce stress, improve sleep, and even boost your immune system.
Wow. I'm starting to see how much power we have over our own well-being just by paying attention to our breath.
It's pretty amazing, right? It's a simple practice, but it can have a huge impact on our health and longevity.
And it's always available to us.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our exploration of Ikigai, what are the key takeaways? What else does the book say is essential for a long life? I think the biggest takeaway is this idea that it's not just about living longer, it's about living better. The book reminds us to find our Ikigai, enjoy each moment, and build a life that's full of joy, connection, and purpose.
I love how it all comes together. We've covered so much in this deep dive. It's hard to know where to even begin.
I know it's a lot to take in.
What's the one thing you hope our listeners will remember from our conversation about Ikigai and longevity?
I really hope they feel inspired to actually do something with this information.
Right.
The book isn't just theory, it's a call to action. It gives us practical steps we can all take to live longer, healthier, and more fulfilling lives.
So it's not about waiting for some magic solution.
Nope.
It's about making choices every day that support our well-being.
Exactly. And it starts with finding our own Ikigai.
Yeah, that thing that makes us excited to get out of bed in the morning.
That's it. And then it's about connecting with people, moving our bodies, eating healthy foods, managing stress, and,
Yeah.
accepting that things aren't always going to be perfect.
Embracing the imperfection.
Exactly. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making small changes that you can stick with over time.
Progress, not perfection.
I like that. This deep dive has been so eye-opening.
It really has.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how to live a longer, happier life.
Me too. Hopefully our listeners feel the same way.
I hope so. And remember, this journey to longevity, it's an adventure. There's no finish line.
Right.
It's about approaching each day with curiosity, gratitude, and a love for life.
So well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on.
It is, isn't it?
To our listeners, we encourage you to take a moment and think about what really resonated with you today.
Yeah.
What can you start doing right now to get closer to your own Ikigai?
Good question.
It's never too late to start living a life that's not just long, but truly meaningful. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Ikigai, the Japanese secret to a long and happy life.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep living your Ikigai.